Good morning and welcome to the Chamber Business Report. I'm John Phillips, president of the Palm Coast Flagler Chamber of Commerce, and we are thrilled to have Jeff Green with us today. He is with Katz and Green, one of our local attorneys here in Palm Coast and Flagler County, and also one of the sponsors of our show. We want to say thanks to Cline Construction, building the future of Flagler County for the past 30 years. Smart technologies, they make business simple. Intracoastal Bank of Palm Coast, community banking the way it should be, member FDIC. And the last one is our segue to our guest, Katz and Green, Flagler County's personal injury attorneys since 1996. Well, welcome Jeff Green to the show. Jeff, great to be with you today. Thanks for taking time to join us here on the Chamber Business Report.
Good morning.
Yeah,
glad to be here.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about you personally, and then we'll get into the history of the law firm a little bit. I know when we were visiting prior to going on the air, you talked about growing up here. Let's walk through that and law school, and you know all those stops along the way before you hung your shingle out there at Katz and Green.
Well, on my father's side, we go back about 3 generations in Daytona. My grandfather, my great grandfather, they were all lawyers in Volusia County. I grew up in Ormond Beach, went to Seabreeze High School. I went out of state for school, and then I came back to Daytona in 1989, and that's when I started practicing law. The first firm that I was in was what we call an insurance defense firm. All we did was represent insurance companies, or we were hired by insurance companies to represent their insureds, their people. And which was a great experience because everything was in litigation. So every day I was in court for one reason or another. There was a pretty high level of trial practice, and it was just a great way to start. And let's see, I had a partner for a little while in Daytona Beach, and we also did defense work. And then about, I would say, 2000, my practice shifted to representing injured people. It wasn't all at once because I still represented the city of Daytona Beach, which means I also had a lot of false arrest cases, but a lot of fall downs, auto accidents. So I still represented the city, but I also was representing increasingly injured people. So that was kind of in the late 90s. And then when I came to Flagler County and joined Paul Katz in 2000, all I did was personal injury. There was a short period of time when I did some construction litigation and small commercial claims just to kind of fill in the gaps. But by the time I got to about 2005, I had, for the most part, stopped doing that. And from then till now, I've been doing strictly personal injury, wrongful death, auto accidents, fall downs. That's 95% of what I do.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, and just maybe unpack a little bit about the whole, personal injury attorneys. The vast majority of folks, I think of automobile accidents to what makes up personal injury claims. And that's obviously a large percentage, but there's clearly a lot more to that. So let's expand on your practice a little bit. If somebody does have an injury due to something other than an auto accident, maybe where they would connect with you and what sort of other practices there are in the PI space other than automobile accidents.
Well, a big part of what I do are what's called premises cases, which means mostly fall downs, slip and falls. A lot of lawyers kind of shy away from those, but I don't. I've had a very good track record with that, I think. And so I welcome those cases. And then the auto accidents, too. I've been handling those for, 35 years. So then there's some other areas that I don't get into as much, product liability cases. I don't do any medical malpractice. So it's almost all either fall down type cases or auto accidents.
I know oftentimes in the PI space, people talk about automobile accidents, and then they also talk about trucking accidents and how that's a subcategory of motor vehicle accidents. We'll call them in the big picture world, with the vast majority of the motor vehicles on the highway being automobiles. So that's where the vast majority of accidents happen. But there is a specialty in trucking accidents, and I know that takes some experience and some things. And I think that's one of the areas that you all specialize in at Katz and Green.
Yeah, I definitely like to get the trucking accident cases. There's a challenge because there's a whole different layer than just proving fault. Like with just a standard auto accident between 2 regular people, you have the issue of who is at fault. But when you have the trucking, there's a whole slew of other issues that come into play. and you have to be ready right up front to request documentation, specific things. Otherwise, they'll trash them if they can. So you got to be right up front with those. But I like those too. I think they're they're good cases. And so if anybody has a trucking accident, whether it's on the interstate or more locally, come on in. We'll definitely handle those.
Yeah, and while we're talking about come on in, let's where would folks find you? I know the website is katzandgreen.com, but give us a little more information about how they could track you down if somebody did want to speak to you about a personal injury incident that they might have, or any other area of the legal field.
Most people make initial contact by telephone.
Okay.
Even still, I mean, this is Flagler County, and just put in Katz and Green, and it'll pop right up in your Google. But either phone call, you can email us, but those would be the two main ways. And if you call, I'll take the call if I'm there. If not, I'll call you back pretty quick. And usually we can get people into the office within 1 to 3 days, depending on if they need immediate help or not. Some people more so than others, but we can make that determination and get people in. The office is, of course, y'all remember the old SunTrust building. So actually, that was my partner owned that, Paul Katz. It was the B. Paul Katz Professional Center, but everybody called it the SunTrust building because that's where the bank was. And they tore that down year and a half ago, and the Wawa's there now. So we're in, how do I describe this? There's a complex of smaller office buildings that's right there at the corner of Palm Coast Parkway and Clubhouse. And, there's mostly medical things in there, but my office is in there too.
Yeah. And
we've been there for a little over 2 years now. And I think a lot of clients like it because it's so close to our old building. It's not much of a transition, but that's where we are.
And you mentioned that, if somebody picks up the phone and calls you, that, there's a good chance that you might answer the phone. It's a relatively small practice. Mr. Katz is retired.
Mostly.
So
not completely.
Not completely,
mostly,
but
yeah.
for the most part, it's you for the
Right.
for the most part, not
Right.
exclusively.
Right.
But they're going to get a hold of you or one of your staff members to provide support to you.
Yeah, I have 3 full-time staff working for me, and of course they're the ones that are going to answer the phone. I probably won't be the one to handle the initial call, but if it's a situation where a client needs immediate help, they'll get me wherever I am, and I can either get on the phone with them, if not them, within an hour or two, if that's needed. If it's not needed, I'll call them back within 24 hours usually.
Yeah.
Or we might just schedule a time for them to come in. But I think one of the things that people like about the practice is we're hands-on, and you can come in and meet us in person, sit down with us, talk to us. You can get somebody on the phone that can answer your questions. If my staff can't answer them, they'll get the questions to me. And I don't want to name specific firms, but a lot of firms don't offer that anymore. Everything's in a computer, and you can't ever get anybody that's actually handling the case to the point where they can give you an answer to more of a sort of a comprehensive type question. I'll have to check. I hear it all the time, and that's why we end up getting a fair amount of clients from bigger out of town firms, because people like the personal approach that we have.
Yeah, I think it fits in well with the with the kind of the brand of Palm Coast and the brand of Flagler County. It's still a small town,
right?
And if they come in to talk to you or someone at your firm, there's only a couple people, as you mentioned. You're going to get up close and personal. You're not going to get the runaround. You're really going to get to talk to a person who can help you relatively quickly, because it is up close and personal touch.
Right.
From the legal profession. What brought you to Flagler County? You mentioned that your family was from Daytona Beach. You went to Seabreeze High School, that's at the northern end of Volusia County. But what brought you across the border? Not that it's not that far. It might be 25 minutes to Seabreeze High School from here, so it's an easy drive. But what brought you to Flagler County instead of Volusia?
Well, my family actually knew Paul Katz from well before I came up here. His wife Donna was best friends with my mother, and so they all knew each other going back 10, 15, 20 years beforehand. And Paul had been somewhat of a mentor for me on a really kind of a telephone type basis even before that. And then one day he was talking to me. He said, "Look, I've got more work up here than I can do." He'd had, I don't even remember her name, but he'd had another attorney with him who had, I'm not sure what had happened, but she wasn't there. And so he was trying to handle the personal injury. And then really what Paul did was more in the range of real estate, wills and trusts, bigger commercial things. And that's what he did. And then he also was doing personal injury, which he also had experience with that, but he wanted to hand that off to somebody and see if we could grow the practice in that direction. And it fit well. I had actually had worked in Orlando for about 2 years, and I was ready to, I was commuting over there, and I just, I didn't want to live in a big town like that. I wanted to live in something not bigger than Daytona, or of course Flagler has gotten pretty big, but it's not Orlando, it's not Jacksonville. And so I said, well, let's see what happens, and it so far it's worked.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's interesting. It goes back to the up close and personal feel of the brand of the law firm today, and the fact that it started from a family connection really ties it all back together. It's not a family business necessarily, but the brand of which you operate the business is up close and personal with deep family ties and family roots, like you mentioned, your mother to other folks there in the Katz family, and ultimately brought the two of you together, and the firm is still there today.
Yeah, it's funny because Paul Katz's background is kind of like mine. He grew up in this area, and his father and my grandfather played golf. So, it's funny how it worked out like that, because most people are a little bit, I won't say they're astonished, but they're like, what? Your family's from here originally? I was like, yeah, I mean, and Paul's is the same background. So it's just kind of funny how that worked out.
One of those few native Floridians that born and raised and stayed here, local to this part of Florida. I won't say to Flagler County necessarily, because started in Volusia and came across. But as we all know, the border is not far away. But staying local here in this local area, and Katz and Green, your local personal attorneys here in Flagler County. So we're visiting with Jeff Green of Katz and Green, and we are here on the Chamber Business Report, again brought to you by the good folks at Intracoastal Bank, Cline Construction, Smart Technologies, and of course, Katz and Green. We're going to take a short time out. We'll be right back after this on the Chamber Business Report. Good morning. Welcome back to the Chamber Business Report. I'm John Phillips, president of the Palm Coast Flagler Regional Chamber of Commerce, and this is your Chamber Business Report. Our guest today is Jeff Green from Katz and Green, and we're thrilled to have them as a sponsor of our radio program, along with Intracoastal Bank, Cline Construction, and also Smart Technologies. We're going to turn our attention back to our guest, to Jeff Green, and visit about your background and experience. We were visiting in that first segment, Jeff. You talked about early on in your career where you represented the city of Daytona Beach with some claims that were brought against them. I just want to give you a chance to expand on how that experience on that side of the aisle in the courtroom now translates to how you represent clients in personal injury accidents and other cases as well.
I would say it was comparable to doing work for the insurance companies. A lot of auto accidents, a lot of fall downs. One thing that was a little bit different about it, though, is you would get into constitutionally based claims. Usually it involved police actions, and you would get into 14th Amendment, 8th Amendment, 4th Amendment, and that could get a little esoteric, because it's not just your standard who's at fault. You had some fairly complicated cases that I took up on appeal. Now, this is a long time ago. I mean, I would say there was a point in the late 90s where I was really well versed in that. I'd handled several appeals on these issues, and I kind of enjoyed it because it was an academic challenge. But unfortunately, it's been so long, I haven't done one since I left there.
Yeah, and a much more broad-based side of the legal profession, because it wasn't all just personal injury cases, as you mentioned. It could be wrongful, someone was arrested and their rights were violated, or all sorts. Anything that happened with an employee or a vehicle or on a property of, and the list could go on, associated with the city of Daytona Beach, because in the layman's terms, they're always going to look for somebody who has deep pockets. And the city of Daytona Beach is a large organization with a lot more money than Joe Smith, who lives on the corner there, who's just a person, not a business, nothing else. The city of Daytona Beach would be something who would be a lot of folks might be inclined to try to bring lawsuits against because of their quote unquote deep pockets.
Sure.
So you had a broad base of incidents that were brought before you, and that experience probably allows you, because it was so broad based, even though you're not handling cases of things involving police officers and constitutionality and things like that, but that broad background probably translates well to everything that you're doing at Katz and Green.
Yeah, I think so. Sure.
Yeah. Let's unpack a little bit about maybe some of the things that, whether it's you personally, I think in this case it's mostly you, because as we mentioned, it's a relatively small law firm. But what you support here in the community. We talked earlier about the Kiwanis. Let's talk a little more about that and your involvement with FPC Kiwanis. It's a wonderful organization and it really helps our community.
Yeah, we reach out to. It's the principle is that usually there's children involved. If they're families that that don't have enough to eat, or they're having difficulty getting school supplies, but it expands out from that. We also support police and firefighters. We give awards for them. If you have a lot of times you'll have mothers that are living below the poverty line. We'll reach out to them, and we don't. Mostly what we do is we give funds out to the organizations that are directly hands-on with them. But of course they appreciate it.
Sure.
And they depend on it. So we try to be judicious in, passing out these funds. And once we've done that, we kind of hand it off to them.
Yeah, you mentioned, and we're talking about the Kiwanis in this case, which is an organization you're involved with, but there's many other organizations that help to support the community, similar to, Rotary and many other things, not to get into the laundry list, but you talked about the Kiwanis has a storage facility that can help people here in this community.
Yeah, it's a real blessing. This was, way before I got up here, but I don't know the exact history of it, but somehow somebody bequeathed the storage facility, which was already up and running, to the Kiwanis, and all we have to do is run it. We have to, you have to pay some taxes and some maintenance and that kind of thing, but mostly it's almost pure profit, because people are, paying their monthly rental fees to store their boats and trailers and things like that. And I probably shouldn't say the exact amount. I probably could, but it's a lot, for a local charity. And so it's nice not having to do bake sales or, things like that to generate money. And so, by the way, we're always looking for some new members, people that want to get involved.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say, gee, I wish I could do more charity. Well, here's your chance. And that was the way it was presented to me. Dave Eldridge, who passed away, 10 years ago, was a local attorney. And he got me into it, and that's he was active in it, and he passed not too long after I joined. But it's been a rewarding thing, because you feel like you're helping people, and so it's not just all take. You want to be able to help people in need. So
yeah. How does I'm very familiar with the brand of Kiwanis, but does your group meet on a weekly basis, monthly basis? How often do you get together? And if somebody did want to join, how would they find out about it? What's the best way to do that?
Well, we have a website.
Okay.
Everybody's got a
Everybody's
website.
Everybody's
got a website, and there's phone numbers on there. There's emails,
and your particular Kiwanis group is the FPC Kiwanis. That's what it goes by as,
right.
FPC Kiwanis. Because there's probably, I don't know how many there are in this
there's
local
2.
area, but there's only 2. Okay.
There's 2 in Flagler County,
okay.
and they kind of meet at different times than we do. To me, they kind of complement each other, and one might be better for you, the other might be better for you. It looks at your situation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd say you can call me, but sometimes I'm super active in the Kiwanis, and then other times I won't show up for 3 or 4 months because of the practice,
Sure.
and the clients come first, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And so, but other times, like right now, you could call me directly if you wanted to join, and I can get you in touch with the right people. But other times, you're better off just
Yeah, let's go to the website. FPC Kiwanis is what you want to look up. Under Kiwanis, the FPC Kiwanis group is the one you're looking for. And I think that's a wonderful thing that somebody donated, because most of the expense and I've never run a storage facility, but, being, hopefully knowing a little bit about the business practice, the biggest expense is the capital to build it and get the land first and then build the property. After that, as you were mentioned, there are some taxes and things that you have to pay and electricity and things like that and some general maintenance upkeep. But the vast majority of the expenses are all up front. And if somebody bequeathed that to the Kiwanis, well, then the vast majority of the expenses are not being absorbed by Kiwanis. So it's not quite all income and no expense, but the ratio is really, really good.
It is very good.
Which allows Kiwanis to give back, because ultimately they are a nonprofit organization that gives back to the community, and many different organizations are able to be helped because of this operation with the Kiwanis storage area.
Right.
Let's talk about one other thing. You obviously must have a little bit of a sports background, because I know you do some work with the what we call the chain gang, the folks who are doing the 10 yards and a cloud of dust. So in order to get a first down in high school football, you got to have somebody out there at the starting point and somebody 10 yards away with the first down marker, and that's something you've been doing for FPC High School.
Yeah, I'm thinking 12, 13 years, 14 years. Yeah, to me it's fun. My wife and I, we're not going out much on Friday night anyway. So to me, it's a fun way to watch the game from the sideline.
Yeah, there's not a better seat in the house, because you are literally right on the sideline,
right,
literally on the line, because that's where the marker is. So did you grow up as a football player as a kid? Is that something that you did a lot of?
No, I mean, excuse me, I watched a lot of it on TV, but
yeah.
No, I did not play. Well, actually, in junior high, I played 1 year, and I remembered the next year came around, and it was Florida. It was so hot, and we had 2-a-day practices in August.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I don't think I want to do. I'd rather go to the beach and hang out with my friends at the beach. So
yeah.
that's.
It's a dedicated group every weekday morning until school starts. As I drive into the offices of the Chamber of Commerce, I go right by FPC High School as I head back there towards Town Center. And the boys are out there early, because you got to get out there to beat the heat. So they usually wrap up probably around 8:30 or 9 o'clock, because if I'm driving out going to a meeting or something, they're usually gone. So got to start early before it gets too hot. But FPC and Matanzas both working hard right now until school starts early in the morning.
Well, I was out there at it was called Orman Junior. Now it's Orman Middle School, but we had tough guy coaches. They put us out there in the heat of the day. We would be out there 10 o'clock in the morning till noon, and then from 1 to 4 or something.
Yeah,
because it's toughen us up.
Oh yeah. I did the same thing. I played football all the way through high school, and we did the 2-a-days. I grew up in Maryland and played there, and it's still hot there. It's not Florida hot, but it's still hot. And we did the 2-a-days. I don't remember what the times were. It was 8 to 10, and 2 to 4 or whatever it was. And I'd come home and eat something, and sometimes take a nap, and get in the air conditioning for a little bit, and then go back and do it all again. But yeah, I loved the game of football. Still do, as we shared off the air. You're doing some sideline work, and I've been up in the broadcast booth for a number of years doing Seabreeze and Mainland High School football on the radio down in Daytona Beach for probably 15 or 20 years that I've worked down there, and really enjoy the Friday night lights. And sometimes in Daytona Beach, there's Thursday and Friday night lights, because both of the teams play at Municipal Stadium, and they share the stadium. And if both Seabreeze and Mainland both have a home game, well, they both can't play on Friday. So sometimes they will play a Thursday night home game and a Friday night home game down in Daytona. We're fortunate here, both FPC and Matanzas have their own stadium, so they can play whenever they would like, because they don't have to share a facility there. So we're visiting with Jeff Green. He's with Katz and Green, your local personal injury attorneys here in Flagler County. And Jeff, I appreciate your time. Is there anything, any story, any background, any history you wanted to share that we didn't get to today, as we have about 60 seconds before we wrap it up?
No, not really.
Yeah, well, good. So
covered a lot of territory.
Yeah, so katzandgreen.com. That's your best resource to track down information about the law firm, and the phone numbers are right on there. There's an opportunity to fill out a form through the website. There's a phone number you can call. There's a phone number you can text, and they're going to be very, very responsive to you. Again, their primary focus is on personal injury, but they do also do some other things in the area of the legal field. So if you need support, you need help,
All we do is personal injury.
All you do is personal injury. Fair enough. So,
Okay.
I saw on the website about product liability, but I guess that ultimately
That's
falls
part
under
of
personal injury.
that's part of personal injury. Yeah, right.
Fair enough. Well, you guys are experts in the field. That's the one area you focus on. And if you need support here in Flagler County, Katz and Green is the place to go. So, Jeff, I appreciate your time today. Great to visit with us here on the Chamber Business Report. We will wrap it up. We'll say thanks again to Katz and Green, one of our sponsors, along with Intracoastal Bank, Cline Construction, and, of course, Smart Technologies. I'm John Phillips with the Palm Coast Flagler Regional Chamber. Enjoy the rest of your day.